As a retired U.S. Army Special Forces Lieutenant Colonel, I've had the honor of contributing to written military orders and missions all over the world, shoulder to shoulder with soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen from dozens of nations. These orders varied from combat operations with Green Berets to counter-drug missions with Navy SEALs. Other orders were for training with Tier 1 units or exercises with National or Theater Special Operations Commands. The one common denominator for all of these orders is that they were written and published using the 5-paragraph Operations Order or OP Order format. In today's video, we are going to take a look at the 5-paragraph Military Operations Order, starting with an overview, a discussion of the format, and then we'll break down the subparagraphs.
People who live in the Middle East deserve a lasting peace and deserve to live their lives with dignity and self-determination. For decades, the United States government has supported a two-state solution.
Army doctrine says that there are 3 types of orders. An order is a communication, written, oral, or by signal, which conveys instructions from a superior to a subordinate. In the context of planning, there are 3 types of written orders: Operation Order, or OP Order, Fragmentary Order, or Frag Order, and Warning Order, or Warn Order, usually just called the War Note. And for all the doctrine geeks out there, Joint Doctrine also identifies 5 other types of orders: planning orders, alert orders, execute orders, prepared to deploy orders, and redeploy orders. But for the most part, these are by and far the most important and most used of the orders. And today we will focus on OP Order. An OP Order is a directive issued by a command to subordinate commanders for the purpose of effecting the coordinated execution of an operation. An OP Order follows the 5-paragraph format. Paragraph 1 is situation, 2 is the mission, 3 is execution, 4 is sustainment, and 5 is command and signal. While OP Orders are mainly written plans, they also contain graphics and imagery. Graphics convey information and instruction through military symbols. They complement the written portion of a plan or an order and promote clarity, accuracy, and brevity. Let's jump into the format in greater detail. The situation paragraph describes the conditions of the operational environment that impact operations in the following subparagraphs. The area of interest shows the larger area that is of interest geographically and geopolitically. The area of operation is a smaller subset. This is where the unit will be working. The terrain describes the aspects of terrain that impact operations. Weather describes the aspects of weather and elevation that impact operations: helicopter flights, close air support, and UAV support. The enemy subparagraphs describe enemy composition, disposition, location, strength, and probable courses of action. Then we move on to friendly forces to include the mission of higher headquarters 2 levels up, the mission of higher headquarters 1 level up, and the mission of adjacent units. This helps us to understand what units on our left and right are going to be doing. The situation paragraph also references the objectives and goals of interagency, intergovernmental, and non-governmental organizations. And it finishes off with civilian considerations about how the local populace and governments may impact operations. Paragraph 2, Mission, states the unit's mission. It's a short description of who, what, the task, when, where, and why, the purpose. The mission statement clearly indicates the action to be taken and the reason for doing so. The execution paragraph of the OP Order describes how the commander intends to accomplish the mission in terms of the commander's intent, concept of operation, scheme of support, tasks to subordinate units, and coordinating instructions in the subparagraphs below. It has many subparagraphs to include the commander's intent. This describes what the forces must do and the conditions the force must establish with respect to the enemy, terrain, and civilian considerations. The commander's intent normally includes purpose, which is an expanded description of the operation's purpose, and key tasks, which are significant activities the force as a whole must perform to achieve the desired end state. The end state is
for
a
a
description
Palestinian
of the
state.
desired future
And the
conditions
fallout
that
from his
represent
bombing
success.
campaigns is not
The
limited
concept
to
of the
Gaza.
operation
He
describes
has
the
given
sequence
cover
of actions
for
the force will
Hezbollah,
use
the
to
Houthis,
achieve
and
the
other
operation's end
terrorist
state.
groups to
If the
expand
operation has
the
multiple
conflict.
phases, then the concept
bottom
of the
line
operation
is clear.
must address each
Netanyahu's
phase.
leadership in
Next,
this
we
war
have the
has
scheme
been
of
a
maneuver,
moral and
which describes the
strategic
employment
so you
of
can use
maneuver
that is in
units in
direct
accordance
So
with
if
the
we
opposition
Jermaine
concept of
Pain
operation.
train,
policy
and talk
and
about
It
proud
assigns
numbers.
primary tasks and purpose
Netanyahu
for
cannot
each
bomb
maneuver
his
unit.
way
The
to the
scheme of
return
intelligence
hostages.
describes how the commander
Netanyahu
Take out your
envisions
eyes, take out
intelligence
your hands.
supporting the
in the
concept of
region.
operation.
Netanyahu
The scheme
cannot
of
bomb
information
his
collection
way to
describes
peace.
how the commander intends
The
to use
only path
reconnaissance
to protect
missions
Israel's
and surveillance
long-term security
tasks
and
to
ensure
support the
that
concept
Yeah,
of
Palestinians
operation.
openly spy on you.
The scheme of
Mason
fires
robot,
describes how the
It's
commander
time for our
intends
work
to use
product.
artillery support,
is a
air
The
support,
taxes.
air and missile defense,
states
and
for two
cyberspace
peoples.
Water
electromagnetic
treatment
This
guy
has
come
been
in
the
here to
stated
slip
support
us
the
up
policy of
because
the
we
concept
United
of
got lead
States
in the
operation.
government
water.
dating
The scheme
back
of protection
decades.
describes security
And
measures,
if this far-right
quick reaction
Israeli government
forces,
does not share
chemical,
that goal,
biological,
then it is
radiological,
our
and nuclear or
responsibility to
CBRN
make clear
operations,
that the Netanyahu
anti-terrorism
government
measures,
does not get a
explosive
blank
ordnance
check
disposal
from
or
United
EOD,
States aid.
and military
Oh,
police
nuclear
That is
support.
facility.
why I have been
I mean,
The
fighting
scheme of
to
engineering
condition
nuclear
addresses
family.
key
and
mobility,
We got the
counter-mobility,
uses of sharing atoms and
survivability,
Eves
and
insights and
geoengineering
distribution
tasks.
of
I
NP.
have called for
The
Israel
task to
to
subordinate
W12.
units
civilians
subparagraph
and for
assigns
accountability
tasks to
when
each
U.S.
subordinate
weapons
unit.
are used to target
And the coordinating
refugee
instructions
camps
is the
and safe
catch-all
zones. I
subparagraph
have
that can
challenged the
address, if
administration's
appropriate,
decision
the
to
operational
bypass
timeline.
Congress in approving
Commander's
arms
critical
transfers
information
to Israel.
requirements.
I have worked with
Fire
my
support
colleagues, led by
coordination
Senator
measures.
Van Hollen, on an
Airspace
amendment to
coordination
condition
measures.
aid to Israel.
Rules of engagement,
Earlier this
risk
month,
reduction control
President
measures,
Biden delivered a
personal
critical
recovery
step,
coordination
issuing a
measures,
national security
and any other
memorandum
task
makes
that
clear
applies
that
to two
any
or
country
more of the
that
subordinate
receives
units.
aid from the United States
Paragraph number
must
4,
follow
sustainment, describes the
international
concept
law,
of support for the
including
operation.
Maybe
Israel.
cops
The
that use their
logistics
personal
subparagraphs
phones
will
are
address
subject to
weapons
having
and
their
vehicle
personal
maintenance,
files under review and
transportation,
judging the
Oversight
water.
of its
supply,
implementation is
field
necessary
services,
to ensure that
personnel,
it is a meaningful
mortuary
step
affairs,
and not just
legal
lip
support,
service.
Don't go figure.
and religious
Netanyahu has made clear
You
The
he
sustainment
plans to
don't
paragraph
want to give up
also
like
addresses health
Jesus
and
told his
services,
senator
to
friend over
include
there
locations
about
of
you had
combat
enough.
medics,
You didn't need that to
aid
do a damn
stations,
thing.
and field
I want to
hospitals.
make sure you just get paid
And
and
because
work in the
money is a
military.
weighted system, the financial management subparagraph will also address the use and priorities for budget and financial services. Paragraph
Not just
5,
his.
command and
It's the
signal, is the
ROTC brief
communications
with a girl
and
doing it on a
communicator
cardboard
plan for the
box.
operation.
You know,
The
4
command
years ago.
subparagraph details the location of the commander and key leaders during each phase of the operation.
Anybody?
It will also
Anybody?
state
I
the
mean, at best,
succession
you're
of
gonna tell you
command
what,
if
third
it's
farm
not covered
model?
in the unit's SOP. The subparagraph command
Well, that's
posts
the point,
describes
boss.
the
You can't
employment
run
of
this
command
factory
posts,
alone.
including the location of each command
The
post
2A is
and
real
its time of
important to the
opening and
militia,
closing
whether it's
as
a corn
appropriate
farm,
for
a
each
sports
phase of the
factory moving
operation.
into town,
The signal
Stoneville,
subparagraph describes the
anything that's
concept
going to
of
go to
signals,
residential or commercial
including
properties,
locations
pull
and
into that
movement
tax
of
to
key
check to
signals,
make sure that their water
critical
and the employees that
electromagnetic
they
spectrum
have for the
considerations
dependent
throughout the
tax
operation.
on what they were going to
It
It
do
also
was
states the
properly
primary,
George
alternate,
Henryism
contingency,
land
and
tax worked
emergency,
out.
or PACE,
But
communication
until then,
plan. The
United
op board is then
States
signed
has
by
a
the commander or his
responsibility
designated
to
representative,
ensure
and
that our
any further
weapons
information or
aren't used
Yeah, give somebody
clarification
a
can
security
be put
detail.
into one of the
Anybody,
op
any
orders
group,
26
period.
authorized
We
annexes.
also have a
Okay,
responsibility
there you have it, the
to
5-paragraph
ensure that our
operation
support is
order.
used to advance
It's a lot of
long-term
information
peace
to
and
digest.
stability in
Please
the
feel free to
region.
go back and study this in
We
greater detail.
recognize that it
In the
takes
art
two
and
parties
science of
to
military
negotiate
leadership,
a
the
meaningful
op board
peace.
is for sure
And
on
we
the
should
science side
also
of the
urge
spectrum.
the